Hey guys, back in North Carolina now after a long and eventful trip to Orlando. I've actually been back for about like a week now, but told you I'd do one as soon as I got back. I just got slammed with all kinds of stuff. So one thing that I've been working on since I've been back fairly tirelessly. In fact, I was up till like 1,000,000 o'clock last night. Yeah, it's on the clocks here in North Carolina. You might not know that. But I've been working on a piece of terrain for the vault members, and let me just bring it up here. This is gonna like blot out the sun here, so bear with me for a second. Okay, so I'm trying to get all of this on camera. It's a little tough. This is a giant manufactorum. Oh crap! One of my buttresses is about to come right off. Like it never happened. Okay. Jeez, really? You're gonna fight me on camera? Okay. Anyway, so this guy has been taking up all my time. I've had some interesting struggles and difficulties with this particular piece. Mostly just the scale. I mean, this thing's huge. I guess it's going to be essentially like a centerpiece model for a board. But yeah, this area here, this took forever. And it may not look like a whole lot right now, unpainted, but once I get some paint on the thing, it'll be a whole lot more exciting looking. And then there's this nice large area up top too. But yeah, for those of you who are Vault members, hopefully you can expect to see tutorials on that piece coming up pretty swiftly here. This is it's Sunday when I'm shooting this, the 20-something of June. The 24th, Sunday the 24th of June. So I've probably still got a little bit of time to finish that up, and then from there I still got to edit the video, which actually shouldn't take too terribly long. I'm getting much quicker with the edits. But on this project, it really highlighted a particular principle I wanted to talk to you guys about. And I don't really have an exact name for it, and someone else may have already, I guess, talked about this particular problem with model making or terrain making, what have you. And it may just be a more general art principle too, but the maintained level of detail, I guess the continuity of detail level is really important, I think, in making terrain pieces and sculpting models and doing conversion work. So let me explain what my I guess visual theory is. That to make a better looking piece, all parts have to have a similar, if not as close, I guess it's you can't say identical, as close as possible, level of, I'm not explaining this well. I'm using the definition, the word or phrase I'm defining in the definition. The continuity of level of detail is essentially saying, okay, let's look at this GW part here. This is one of the super las cannons from the Imperial Strong Point set. I'm not sure which smaller kit it usually comes in. I think it comes with the bastions, maybe. Anyway, so okay, just about any GW part you've ever seen is just packed with detail. You can't, swing a stick and not hit some detail. There's hardly any open flat areas, and for, you know, I guess for most gamers, this means it's time for a wash. You know, you paint it, you do some base colors, and then their signature wash series really does lots and lots of great things for you, because it picks out all those details and it makes it look like, you know, you spent hours and hours and hours shading this thing, and you really just put some wash on. It's great stuff. I've leveraged that technique frequently for doing mass painting stuff. But say that, you know, Games Workshop makes a little base for this thing too, so you can set it out on the field. It's its own thing, but let's just pretend like this part doesn't exist. GW never made that part. They thought that you should only be using this to set it on top of a bastion in the little ring up top. So you decide that you want to set this out as a field gun somewhere, and you're gonna make a block similar to this one. You've got something like this in your head, just a pivot point. If you were to take this block of foam and glue this to the top, it would look terrible. I think we can all agree on that. It would look ridiculous. You have this massively detailed piece and a flat block. Now, you could start to work towards this detail by, you know, taking plastic stripping and, you know, lining the corners and putting some rivets down and things like that, but you're really going to have to work to get this level of detail into this block. I mean, you're going to have to do some crazy stuff. You have to do a lot of layering of plastic card sheets to get the sort of plate work kind of style back here. If you want to do some hoses and things, you can do that too. But it's not going to be a 10-minute fix. You're not going to just be able to slap some angle plastic on the corners and call it good, because this thing is like I've said a half dozen times now, massively detailed. There's so much. It's just encrusted with details. So, you know, you can apply this principle to terrain as well, where, you know, say, I do want to show or explain some exceptions though. Say you've got an old ratty like land speeder or something. You've had the thing for 10 years. It's gone with you through 5 different marine chapters. It's got 47 coats of paint on it, and now it looks terrible. Stripping it is beyond gone. Yeah. So now it is a fatality of the infamous Melta damage. So you just decide, all right, this is going to be a wreck. It's going to be a piece of terrain. We're just going to jam it into the ground here and kick some mud up onto it, make it look like it got blasted by Melta damage. Classic, you know, I can't throw this thing away. I spent $20 on it at some point kind of mentality. See, that stuff is fine so long as the ground looks detailed enough to handle the model. I would probably suggest against having, like, sawing it at an angle and then gluing it down to a plate and then putting bright green flocking around it. I think that would not look quite so good, but that's just a personal preference. It's when you're adding on to a single object. You're saying this object here, and I want to make an extension of this object in a base. That's when you really have to be careful with this type of stuff, and it happens more times when you're doing conversion work or scratch building, where you think to yourself, oh, you know, I've got some GW parts laying around here. Let me just grab this box, and I'll glue, you know, some flat plastic card. I've got, you know, a sheet of this tile stuff, and then we'll get some of these, you know, plastic tubes, and it'll be great. Well, the problem is all that plastic stuff that you just put on there, unless you spend a lot of time cutting and gluing in intricate ways, is not going to have any detail that this little base does. And trust me, this is not a thing that I'm immune to. I mean, I frequently have to battle with this. Like, I have this perfect piece of GW kit. It looks so good, and I want to put it on this other thing, but then I have to say, no. Instead of doing that, I need to sculpt my own version of it that will, it'll have the same detail level as the rest of my thing. In fact, I did that on this gigantic Manufactorum here. I know it's probably rather difficult to see, and I'm not going to be able to get it up near the camera without really messing with stuff, but right up here I've got a whole bunch of like little green stuff pieces, and it was actually inspired by one of the parts on this. It's this little pack up here that it's just a bunch of little blocks with rivets and wires and things going all over it. And I was like, you know what, I really want a bunch of cool detail like this on some of these flat open spaces on my building. But instead of, you know, molding, making a little press mold of this part and then casting it in green stuff or resin or plaster or whatever I had on hand, I decided to sculpt my own, which, let me see if I can rustle that piece up. I don't know where I set it. It's around here somewhere. This place is a disaster. I'm sorry. Anyway, I made my own version of it that was more compatible as far as the level of detail goes. Because this thing, it has all kinds of little vents and buttons and knobs and hoses coming in and out of places. And that's not really the level I was going for. Because if I took a press mold of this, first of all, you shouldn't, you know, make pieces from, you shouldn't mold and cast more pieces of kits, in my opinion. It's like textures, okay. Textures I'm okay with, because you could press mold part of, like from War Machine, Yuri the Axe has this awesome cloak. Press mold his cloak and use that texture to do, like, I don't know, a kilt or a giant pelt thing for one of the Horde's Gargantuans or something when they come out. Like, say you wanted a giant pelt thing on the Mountain King for the Troll Bloods when that launches. You know, using textures is okay. I've known several people who will mold and cast parts of GW kits, and it's just like, you know what, it's a little too much. I just feel like at some point you have to call it stealing. But, you know, instead of taking this stuff or this exact thing, I mean, you could even rebuild your own exact version of this and then cast that, which for some reason I feel is less stealing. But make your own rendition of it that is less detailed or differently detailed or has pieces that are going to make it look more compatible with the rest of the piece that you're doing. You'll be much better served doing it that way than just trying to ransack your bits bin. Now, don't get me wrong, when you're converting GW models, one of the only things that I find that's suitable enough to put onto another GW model is typically more GW model parts. I just find that it's kind of like only GW knows, or only GW sculpts like GW sculpts. And, you know, you can fill in parts with green stuff, or, you know, if you're really skilled, sculpt parts in between to match the style. But, yeah. So let me show you another real world example, something that I did that actually ended up being a little, it goes off the reservation, so to speak, with this principle. And this is some of the stuff that helped me form it and sort of learn this principle on my own. This was something I built many years ago. And so from the front, we're looking pretty good here. We've got some good detail. Almost all of this is scratch built except for some of the Aquillas and the skull and things. And so, oh, by the way, this is a Pinewood Derby car that I did for a friend who just needed a dummy car so that they could have one for the off man or the odd person out just to run it. I thought that was pretty fun. See, Pinewood Derby car. Had fun with that one. Okay, so let me see if I can get him unburied here. Okay. Got stuff falling all over the place. Okay, so you can't see that yet. It's too dark. Okay, so here's a prime example. You've got lots and lots of flat area here, and then one of the Cities of Death doors. I think that that this, in my opinion, now does not look right. Having this massively detailed door sitting on a completely flat surface all around it, it looks lacking. But up here on the back, I mean, we've just got panels and things, so it really feels much more, I guess, seamless. It's like here, you know, I've got a GW part here, but it's really got a lot of flat area, and this is another GW part, but lots of flat area. And these guys under here, they don't look too out of place. It's just some of the Razorback tops out of the Rhino kits. So, you know, we're coming down, we got lots and lots of open space, lots of rivets though, and then bam, we've got huge detailed door that does not look like it fits with anything in the rest of the model. See, this is the type of, I guess, distraction that I try to avoid now in my conversions and model making. It's really easy to think, oh, I got a door, let me just stick that door on there, that'll look great. And it looks out of place. And in much the same way that you try to prolong suspension of disbelief in filmmaking, I find that this sort of the same thing going on here, where you're trying to make it look believable, and you know, you want it to look like this kit, this was a kit. You know, this is part of it, but this would never be sitting on a completely flat surface like that. It needs to, if you're going to have parts of the model be really hyper detailed and others not, I feel like there needs to be a transition or something. But I mean, looking around the side of this leg, I mean, it's all flat. It's all completely flat. You know? So, yeah, I mean, this is kind of a nitpicky thing. It's on the back. The rest of this sculpt looks pretty decent. Let me spin him back around so you guys can see, because I don't think I've actually shown him on camera before. And it's pretty cool for one of my earlier things. Yeah, I got him so that his arms are magnetized, so easy transport, and the torso actually is just pinned in so you can lift it up and take it away. Alright, 2 pairs of the Macarius Mega Bolters up there, or Vulcan Mega Bolters, not Macarius. The Macarius has the Vulcan Mega Bolters, but yeah. And the head is also magnetized in there too. Yep. He really needs to get finished being painted. It's kind of a sloppy job on there, if I do say so. But yeah, maybe we'll do some work on him in one of the videos. He always just sort of like looms over me while I'm working. But yeah. So, and the final thing that I wanted to talk about today is the imminent release of 6th edition. Now, we've all been excited about the new upcoming release of 6th edition, which is supposed to drop June 30th this year, which is at this point only less than a week away. It's 6 days away, so by the time you guys see this video, it might be less than that. But very exciting, less than a week away. We've got the new release of 6th edition 40K, which will bring lots of cool and interesting new features, some of which I feel like are taking it in a direction closer to fantasy. I've always been a fan of fantasy. There's not been a whole lot of people around where I live that play fantasy, so I don't get that much of an opportunity to play. But we've got lots and lots of 40K players. I imagine that's probably the way it is a lot of places. 40K is the bread and butter for Games Workshop in most locales. So some of the things that I've heard, and these are rumors until we get the book in our hands and take a look, which I plan on picking up the book launch day, reading through it, and then I wanted to have some discussions with you guys about it, talk about some of the changes, what you guys think about it, and just give us a chance to sort of muddle our way through it, so we can familiarize ourselves with this lovely new edition. So one of the things is they seem to possibly, from some of the rumors I've heard, be messing with the dice system for damaging vehicles. Right now, they've got a nice, pretty simple chart where it's one chart for vehicle damage, and then you just augment it based on, is it a penetrating hit, is it a glancing hit, is it open top, is it... yeah, I mean, you have the same chart. There's 6 results, and those are the only 6 results you can possibly get. And your chances of getting them are augmented by factors outside of the actual damage roll. So, it looks like there may be either multiple charts or just dice to help with that. I don't have a whole lot of proof or evidence to back this up, but from what I've heard, there may be new dice to deal with different AP values. So an AP one shot has a better chance of doing, and I know that's the way it is right now, but I'm wondering if it's just going to be sort of a gimmick where they augment everything by essentially giving, give you, like, okay, on a regular die you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 being shaken. I can never remember which one is shaken and which one is stunned. Anyway, at the low end you've got shaken or stunned, whichever one is correct me. I'm not going to look it up right now. And then you got exploded up at 6. Now I'm wondering if AP1, because it would normally give you a +1, they're just going to change it on the dice so that we go back to like the old system, like 4th edition, where you have the dice with the little pictograms on it, and you'd have that. But instead have like 2 explodeds on there, because you roll a 6, it's technically a 7 because of +1, so it's exploded, and a 5 gets a +1, so it's also exploded. So there's no 1, and it's basically 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. Now, I think that's a huge gimmick if that's what's actually going to happen. I don't have any real evidence aside from rumors I've read. So, don't get out your pitchforks and your torches yet. But one of the things I've heard. So, the other thing that I've heard lots of places, and I think is going to happen, based on the overwhelming amount of evidence and accounts that I've heard, even from people I believe work for Games Workshop, the notion of hull points. I don't have a whole lot of specifics on how it's going to work, but essentially having wounds on vehicles, kind of like the Super Heavies did for Apocalypse. That should be very interesting. That'll sort of make it make vehicles more durable. I've also heard that they're making it much harder to hit vehicles when they're moving. So you may find that, especially I think fast skimmers get some kind of buff, from what I hear at least. I don't know. That's good news for me though, because I have a Raider Rush Dark Eldar army. So it's just a bunch of fast skimmers moving all over the place, and they have basically paper hulls on them. So if we get a hull point or 2, so that we can take a wound or 2 before we get completely exploded, and the fact that we're fast skimmers, so it makes it harder to hit, then that could be very brutal. So another one of the things that's making it more like fantasy is the fact that it looks like heroes like sergeants or leaders in your squads are going to be able to challenge other squad leaders. So much like in fantasy where they break off and do their own battle and then everybody else does their own thing, looks like it's making its way into the broader scope of 40K. Now I know that there have been some things in the past, or some situations in the past, like the Emperor's Champion, I believe. Black Templar can do that. They can single out a guy and say, "You there? We're fighting. Come on." And they sort of break off and do their own thing. And I don't know. I have no real feelings about that one way or the other. I guess, being able to take out the leader is a good thing, because many times he's the one with the power fist or the plasma pistol or whatever. But the last thing that I saw that was really exciting, and I was like, all right, cool, we're going to get some more fantasy elements in 40K. And when I say fantasy elements, I don't mean like thematic or anything like that. I'm talking more about rules mechanics. I just cannot find the words to say today. I just feel like I'm constantly out of breath for some reason. Anyway, psychic powers are going to act a lot more like spells. So, I'm gonna qualify that statement. There's going to be more elements about them that feel more like the spells from fantasy, where you got 5 schools for 40K that I've seen listed now. They are biomancy, divination, telekinesis, telepathy, and pyromancy. So you got those 5, and I believe, like in fantasy, they're going to also have, like, those are going to be the ones in the main book, and then you'll have other ones that are specific to different armies. Like, I'm sure that Tyranids are going to have a different school of magic from everybody else. Like, their zoanthropes are going to be able to harness different powers than a marine librarian will. That seems logical to me, as logical as psychic powers are, I suppose. But I think that those 5 main ones, you're going to have a choice to either grab one of those or the ones from your codex, whichever one you like. I mean, just like in fantasy, you get, I'm trying to think of a good example here. Oh, my vampire counts. My vampire counts can pull from the vampire lore, or if you're like, I don't really like that, you could switch over to your lore of the dead lore, or death lore. Yes, once again, words failing me today. So those powers are going to be, there's one more layer of tactics. What do I choose, or customizability at least in your army list. You can, with the same model, take a completely different set of spells, psychic powers, make them a completely different tool in your army. I haven't heard whether you're going to have to randomly choose them. Like in 40K, when you take psychic powers most of the time, I don't remember any situations where you randomize them, but you get to pick them. You buy certain psychic powers. Like Grey Knights, you just choose the ones you want and pay for them, and that's it. But in fantasy, you roll off on a table at the beginning. There's 6 spells in each one of your lore trees, and one is usually like the basic thing, and most of the time you can sort of downgrade to like the default one. I think that either that or there's a 7th spell that you can default to. I honestly haven't used a whole lot of magic in fantasy at this point, but I understand the basic concepts there. trying to think if there's anything else that I've heard that I really wanted to bring up. This book is going to be, it looks amazing. It looks great. Looks like the art's going to be really good. There's like over 450 pages. It's going to be a massive tome of a book, which has its upsides and downsides. I'm interested to see all the really cool artwork and cool terrain that they do, and hopefully we can do some tutorials inspired by a lot of that. I'm really looking forward to any of the new fluff that they put out. That stuff's going to be really cool. What I don't look forward to with this gigantic book is having to lug it around. I really don't want to have to take a 12-pound book with me everywhere just to play this game. But until the starter box comes out for this edition that includes the little rule book, I'll probably be stuck with the big one. But yeah, this book is going to be massive, very pretty, but expensive. Weighing in at about $75 US. It's a chunk of change to bite off for a new rule book. But if you've already got armies and stuff, I mean, whatever. That's like all land raider now with all these price hikes. But they did also offer two other packages. One is a collector's edition for about $130, which looks really cool. It's limited edition. It's numbered. It comes in a cool sleeve. Looks great. They look really cool up on the shelf with your collection of fine leather-bound books. But the other one was the Gamers package, and that one is the standard book, but it comes in a, like, I think they said it was a leatherette satchel. It's pretty cool. Brown leather bag, has an Aquila on it. Looks very Imperial Guard-ish, like messenger bag. And it also comes with a set of special like 40K dice, and I don't think these are necessarily like different dice. They're just normal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 D6 dice. But there was something else in that package that I couldn't identify. Let me know. You guys take a look at the Games Workshop site if you get a chance, and tell me what they are. Like, I read the description, and maybe I'm just missing it. Maybe I've lost my mind completely. But they've got these little servo skull sculptures with them, and I cannot for the life of me figure out what they are. I mean, they look cool. Maybe they're objective markers or something, or maybe, I don't know, they look like they're some sort of like little pewter figurines, like that have already been inked or something, and they're on little square bases. But I couldn't for the life of me figure out what they were. Anyway, I feel like I'm kind of rambling on now, but oh, another thing that I'm very excited about. I sort of waved this thing around at you guys earlier when I was talking about my my design principles. But I bought the set of cool looking terrain for Planet Strike. I never got to use this stuff because nobody around here really wanted to play Planet Strike. And it was a really cool expansion, and these awesome pieces of terrain and mounted weaponry were steal for the price that you could get them for. I bought the Imperial Strongpoint that had like 2 bastions, 2 of these gigantic, like the turbo laser cannon. I mean, they were las cannons. I can't remember what they were called. It was like something special, like turbo laser or something. And then some of the quad cannon, auto cannon deals, some comm arrays, and something else. I can't remember what all was in that box. I said 2 bastions, I think, already, and then a couple of boxes of the Aegis defense lines. I mean, it was just like a boatload of... Hold on, I'll grab it real quick. Alright, so, this big, gigantic box I've got here. And I've also got some sandbags in here. They're not part of that. Yeah, Aegis defense lines. Got these. These were actually like objective markers. They were supposed to be like a back door out of your complex, like secret hidden thing. A whole bunch of auto cannons, some like alternate like mount points for them, so you could stick one of these down instead of the big boxes, and you've got your turrets, your anti-aircraft guns, the massive comm arrays. Those things are pretty cool. Tons more Aegis defense lines here. I'm trying to see if there's anything else different and special that I didn't show a second ago. They did have these parts in there that were supposed to go on the bastions. They're like these little servo skull light speaker things. I don't know how to describe them. But I made up a bunch of these and got some little red acrylic rods and started using these as like laser tripwire fencing stuff. I never got around to painting them, but I just put a little piece of plastic at the base of these with a hole in it, so you could link them up like that. I thought they were pretty cool. You guys are probably like, yes, okay, fine. We see your lame laser fence. But yeah, the thing that I'm really liking about this now is that a lot of this stuff is getting added into the main rule set kind of as an extra thing that you can buy and take in your armies as a fortification. And I've always been a fan of sort of being able to buy terrain that you want to use to your advantage, being able to say, okay, well, I'm going to pay an extra 100 points or 200 points or whatever it costs, and I'm going to put a bastion down. You know, I can garrison my troops in that bastion, and then I've got all of the mounted weapons on it. You could upgrade it to have one of the las cannons on it. I mean, that'd be super cool. And they're armor 14 all around. So it's basically like an immobile Land Raider with just a whole bunch of anti-infantry stuff and maybe one anti-tank gun up top. But you've also got these great quad cannon autocannons, which I think are going to be very important coming up soon because we got flyers coming into the picture, and they do not look to be messing around. It looks like those are going to be pretty cool and cheap to field, and frankly cheap to buy. They're actually not that expensive. Even after the hikes, I don't think that they were all that expensive. They were certainly under 50. I think they were under 40 too. Yeah, going to be very cool and exciting. I hope it lives up to all of our expectations. I really look forward to talking to you guys more about it once we get some solid rules to talk about instead of just speculating. It's just killing me. I was actually thinking that it was coming out this weekend, but it's coming out next weekend, like the 30th. I thought it was going to come out the weekend before, but that's just when they were going to announce it, like we didn't already know what was going on. Anyway, very cool stuff, guys, and I'm gonna stop it here before this goes on for forever. But thanks for sitting around chatting with me about game stuff. Leave some comments down below. I love to hear about what you guys are doing. I got lots of good feedback in the last episode. Everybody was talking about what armies and games they play. It's a really diverse community out there, guys. From the at least small sampling that I got, it sounds like we've got people all across the board playing everything from War Machine and Hordes to 40K and fantasy to dystopian wars and some of the other small house game kind of stuff. That I'm glad to see that we've got some diversity here and we're not all just playing Space Marines. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Tune in for all the other stuff that we do here at Miniwargaming, and check out some of my videos in the vault. I should have the Manufactorum up there shortly. I hope I get it done quick. So I will catch you guys later. Thanks again, and happy wargaming.